All right. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's session of Truly Foundation and A Course in Miracles with your host, Oliver Blue. And I am delighted to be here. I am delighted that you are here. I'm delighted, period. But welcome, and today is just another opportunity for us to set the tone for our day, to be reminded of our true identity. Uh, this time is designed for us to continue to increase our awareness of our oneness with God and with each other, to acknowledge that all that there is present right now, and it's always present, that all of life, all of love, all of reality uh, penetrates and permeates and fills all of the inner and the outer spaces. It is the ocean that we swim in, this ocean of love. And I'm here as your temporary guide, your temporary teacher, your temporary coach, to support your transformation, to support your renewal of the mind, to support your advancement, to support your increase. I'm just here as a support. I'm here as a helper. I'm here to teach only love, because this is who we are. I'm here to teach the principle of oneness, that there is only the one, and that we are all a part of that one, not separate parts, but we're all oneness joined as one. One day, and it won't be very long, that you will all be able to see that if we just dismantle everything that appears in temporary form, when all the temporary is dismantled and all that is left is cause, when all the effects are dismantled and all that is left is cause, we will see the oneness that we've been talking about. We will see the oneness that we are. We will see the power, the all-knowing, and we will see the knowledge, the purity, the wholeness. We will see the truth, the reality, not only of the source of life, but we will see our very life as being part of that source, as one with that source, where you can't separate, you can't say or find where one begins and the other end. We come to understand that we are part of something so beyond the limitations of this world that it blows the mind it blows the finite mind. The finite mind can't get into this. But there's a part of us that is this. And that's what I speak to today, and each and every day. And this is what the Course speaks to. And so, I'm only here to remind you of what you already know. Wow. This is the real world. This is our reality. This is that inner world where all power, all knowledge, all awareness, all understanding. Has its origin. And we have learned we can go there as often as we want to and be there only. Even in this lifetime, we can go there. We can sit and allow the mind to quiet down, to allow the mind to be still, to take our focus completely off of time and space. And we can abide as often as we can, as often as we desire, in this communion, in this fellowship of the oneness of the life that we share with each other and we share with God. Jesus said, do this as often in remembrance of me. That's what he was talking about. If you're familiar with his history, he would go away. He would steal away, go apart to be with himself and to be with his source. And he would commune for hours. Abiding in his, what he called his Father, and his Father abiding in him. He did this every day before he met anyone, before he went out to heal the sick, or before he went out to teach or to share or to love or to fellowship. He would spend the time, the quiet time, communing with the Father. And we can do that likewise. We can turn our attention completely inward to the inner world, which is the real world. And connect with this infinite source, this infinite light, this wealth of happiness and joy and peace, this place of wholeness and completeness, where there is no guilt, there is no sin consciousness, there is no fear. There's only love. There's only the beloved. There's only this innocence that we are. And I invite you and encourage you to spend that quiet time, spend those quiet moments with you and your reality. All right. Today's workbook lesson out of A Course in Miracles comes from lesson 297. Just a reminder that we are in this 10 lesson section under the heading, under the subject, what is the real world? And we said that the real world is a symbol, like the rest of what perception offers. We said that the real world cannot be perceived except through the eyes forgiveness blesses. That the real world holds a counterpart for every unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and the sounds of battle which your world, the outer world contains. The real world shows a world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. There are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing there remains outside forgiveness. And the sights are gentle. Only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has forgiven itself. So regardless of what section of this training that we're in, regardless of what section, which lesson that we look into, forgiveness is a part of that theme. Why? Because forgiveness is the only bridge. It is the only means by which we enter into or re-enter into this space that we seemingly exited out of. We seemingly exited out of this space. We seemingly left the garden. We seemingly left our Father's home. And I say seemingly because in reality, that is impossible. But it just seems that way. And so because it seems that way, and we feel the pains of that, we were given this grand idea called forgiveness as a way for our return. And so everything in life, everything in this three-dimensional world has its greatest experience through forgiveness. It is through forgiveness that we finally get to relate to it in such a way that it brings happiness and joy and fulfillment and contentment in our life. It is through forgiveness. And so we can't get away from it. We don't want to get away from it as long as we appear to be in time and space. Forgiveness is not anything that is remotely thought of in the heavenlies, in the heavenly place. Once time and space is done, there's no need for forgiveness. Because in perfect oneness, there's no need for forgiveness. So today's lesson, it has its theme in forgiveness. Again, Workbook lesson 297 says, forgiveness is the only gift that I give. That's our thought for today. That forgiveness is the only gift that I give. In reality, that's what we give when we share our love, when we accept the reality of not only ourselves, but of all humanity. And it is the gift of forgiveness that we give in that acceptance. There's no way you can accept it without forgiveness. Our reality has no association with guilt or judgment or sin consciousness. And so forgiveness is the only gift that brings us into the awareness of our true nature, our oneness with each other and our oneness with God. It's the only gift that we give. It's the only gift that we want to give. It's the only gift that one would want to receive. And so forgiveness is the only gift that I give. And this is the reason. It says, because it is the only gift that I want. See what I mean? It's the only gift that any of us want. To be fully seen for our reality, to be fully accepted and embraced for the truth of who we are. And so forgiveness is the only gift that I give, because it is the only gift that I want. And everything that I give to myself. That's the principle. Because there's only one of us, appearing as many of us, but in reality, there's only one. And we can only see that when we see through Christ's vision. When we have true perception, we come to understand that there's only the one life, the one being, the one love, the one existence, the one source, the one mind, the universal mind, the one purpose. And everything that I give myself, because what? There's only the one self that we all share. There's only the one self. The infinite self, the God self. This is salvation's simple formula. You're talking about knowing, you're talking about the plan of God and the simplicity of the plan of God. Here it is, right here, right before our eyes. That what we give to our brother, we give to ourselves. Forgiveness is everything that I give, or everything that I give to myself, because that's only one of us. So, what's the work that we do? We bring the mind. We bring that mind that has been highly trained in multiplicity, that has been highly trained in separation, that's been highly trained with a competitive mind, that's been highly trained in a world, in a thought system that has its foundation in sin consciousness, guilt, and fear. We have to bring that mind into what? Into alignment with the universal mind. It's a decision that we make. It's a work that we do. It's a willingness. It's a willingness. And it only takes a little willingness to want to do the work. This is work. This is the work of God, that we bring our mind into what? Bring our mind into alignment, into harmony, into integrity with the truth of who we are. This is salvation's simple formula. And I who would be saved would make it mine. This is my formula. This is my simple formula. This should be your simple formula. And that is that we give everything to ourselves. When we're giving everything to anyone else, we're actually giving it to ourselves. So what would you give to yourself? Think about that. Think about every act, every idea, every decision that we make on how we're going to show up, how we're going to have our encounters with each other, how we're going to approach each other, what attitude are we going to have, what perception are we going to have about each other. It's the same perception that you're going to have about yourself. You cannot have a different perception about someone and not have it by yourself. You think that is happening, but it's not. You're having it by yourself. You're having it about yourself. You cannot project anything that you don't see in yourself. I know this is right. Like, okay. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. In this, you see where you have imprisoned yourself by trying to imprison others, by trying to put others down, by trying to make others your victim, by trying to control others. That's what we're doing to ourselves. We're imprisoning ourselves. This is salvation's simple formula. And I, who would be saved, would make it mine to be the way that I live within a world that needs salvation, a world that needs to be awakened, a world that needs to know that it is love only, and that we be saved as I, and a world that would be saved as I accept the atonement for myself. If I accept the atonement for myself, the world would be saved. Why? Because there's only one of us. And when you wake up, the world wakes up. Why? Because you see a forgiven world. There's no more holding anything against anyone when you really wake up, when you really become to recognize the oneness that we share, that we're all oneness, joined as one. The whole world is set free in that moment because you accepted the atonement for yourself. You accepted the healing of that mind for yourself. You accepted the reality of who you are for yourself. And to accept it for yourself is to accept it for all humanity. Because it can only be accepted for all. Because one is all and all is one. Just think about that. That's why Jesus could say, I have reconciled all the world back to my Father. I have reconciled all the world through me. He could say that. And you can say the same thing when you embrace your true identification. When you accept the atonement for yourself. If you look at that word, atonement, or the atonement, look at the word, at one, O-N-E, meant, at one meant. When you accept the at one meant that there is but the one, and we all are that one, even though there is a appearance of multiplicity. There's only the one. This is such an important revelation to come to understand the oneness that we share, the one life that we share, the one being that we share, that there is really no separation. There is none. There's only the one source, and we all swim in that one source. But our experience is determined by our thinking or our thoughts. Are we embracing the thoughts of this oneness, or are we embracing the thoughts of separation and multiplicity and division and inequality? And we live in based on an outer appearance of a world that has been projected from a mind that is not healed. But when the mind is healed, the mind will project an outer world that looks just like its inner world, a world of peace, a world of joy, a world of happiness, a world of abundance, a world of health and prosperity and creativity, a world where one serves not only himself but all humanity freely. This is what the atonement is. This is what it means to accept salvation, to accept the atonement, to accept your reality, to accept your identity. In that acceptance is the life that you desire. It's the love that you desire. It's the peace that you desire. So forgiveness is the only gift that I give today. Forgiveness activates all of this. Forgiveness puts us smack dab in the middle of all of this. You can't get to this holding grievances. You can't get to this holding an idea about yourself or about anyone that is not in alignment with what the Creator created. Forgiveness gets us to all of this. It is the one vaccination that we all need to immune ourselves, to heal ourselves. It comes through forgiveness. It comes through the atonement. And so the atonement and healing are one and the same. The atonement was a principle that's always been in existence, even before there was a tiny mad idea. Always been in existence. But it was activated the moment that an idea somehow entered into the mind of what God created about separation. And the atonement response to that was, there is no separation. There is no multiplicity. There is only the one. That's what atonement means. So, Father, as we have accepted the atonement, the atonement for ourselves today, as we have accepted that for ourselves, how certain are your ways? We can be absolutely certain. We can be absolutely sure. In fact, Hebrews says that it is God's guarantee that all humanity will eventually wake up. That's how certain we can be. In Hebrews, he said, when he could find no greater than himself, God swore by himself. He made an oath with himself that surely blessing he has blessed us, that surely that which God has created, it remains as God created, as holy and pure as God is. That's who you are. As infinite as God is, that's who you are. Having equality with your Creator, that's who you are. That is the certainty that we can have. It says, how certain are your ways? He says, how sure their final outcome, and how faithfully is every step in our salvation, in our healing, in our restoration. It says, how faithful is every step in our salvation set already. It's already set. The path has already been set. Your entire infinite future, which there is no future, your entire infinite experience has already been set. And it never ends. Can you imagine that? We can't. The finite mind cannot even imagine that. The finite mind cannot imagine an endless life. This is the life that you have. You have an endless life. Endless. In fact, you can't even go back and find the beginning of your life. When you go past the human experience, when you go before the human experience that said that you were born on a certain day with a certain name, with a certain government number, you got to go before that. You got to go before the world was formed, before the foundation of the world. You got to go back to find your true identification. You got to go before that. You got to go before the garden. You got to go before Adam and Eve. Before that, you were created before that. You have to go all the way to the mind of God, where the idea was formulated in the mind of God, that God would extend itself, that God would share itself with itself. And in that sharing, we call it creation. Thus, your existence. That idea can never leave the mind of God. Ideas never leave their source. You will never be separated from God. You will never be separated from love. You will never be separated from life. You'll never be separated from the infinite intelligence, the omniscience. You'll never be separate from the presence, the omnipresent. You'll never be separate from the power, the omnipotent, or the omnipotence that God is. You'll never be separate from yourself. You'll never be separate from God, because yourself and God's self are the same self. I know that's a huge idea. But the real you who loves you, bear witness that yes, this is the way it should be. And that is the way that it is. So all the anxiety, all of the fear, all of the anguish, all of the suffering, the needless suffering, the needless anxiety, the needless fear, the needless guilt, the needless sin consciousness, all of it dissipates. All of it disappears when we embrace this atonement, this reality, this truth, this identity in which we share. And so we can be sure, we can be certain of the final outcome and how faithfully that each step that we take is already set and accomplished by the grace of our Creator. It's already accomplished. It's already set. Your life is set. Your life is hid in God, in Christ, as the writer said. God has become your very life, as the writer said. We live and we move and we have our being in God, as the writer said. I and you and me, we are one, as the writer said. So for that, we thank. For that, we are grateful. For that, we have a thankful heart. And so we end this lesson today by saying, thanks be to you. Thanks be to our Father. Thanks be to our Creator. Thanks be to the atonement. Thanks be to our oneness for your eternal gifts. Eternal gifts. And thanks to you for our identity. Our identity. The one identity that we share. Thanks to God. Thanks to love for our identification. There is no more confusion. There is no more concern. We know who we are. We walk in that light. We walk in that consciousness, that awareness. We walk in that reality. In that walk, and in that walk, we teach only love. But that is who we are. That is what we are. Thank you so much. This is Workbook Lesson 297. Forgiveness is the only gift that I give. So as you go forth in your day today, hold this thought, hold this idea. If you're challenged, if you're tempted to think any other way, remind your own self that forgiveness is the only gift that I give. And so therefore, all that you will give will be love. All you will give to others will be forgiveness. You will be able to look past their own fears, their own doubts. You'll be able to look past their own misunderstanding. You'll be able to look past their own unawareness and see the face of Christ in everyone. You can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can let our light shine. We can walk in forgiveness, total forgiveness. We can even hold a space for others while they are not able to hold this space for themselves for whatever reason. For whatever reason, if their mind has not been renewed, if their mind has not been transformed, we can hold the space for them. That's what Jesus did. He held a space for all humanity, past, present, and future. And we can do the same. Why? Because humanity is not a body. It's not a physical body. Humanity is a reality that can be held in the mind at any time. Humanity is the oneness that we share, the one being that we are, the love that created us. We can hold all of this in our minds for all times and for everyone. That's the work that we've been called to. That is the work of God. So thank you so much for being here today for Workbook Lesson 297. We'll be back on tomorrow for another lesson as we get close to closing out this section on what is the real world. Well, the real world is the real you that loves you. And until tomorrow, peace. Bye-bye.